I'm going to keep going. Up until that moment in time, my brain had run hot. Now it began to thaw in reverse, achieving not cold, not achieving tepidness, but rather a thing supreme, a thing in between all those things, a flame made of ice, whipping, bedazzling, like a cold tongue licking, making gangrene the latrine of being. My father retreated into the shadows of the house. Once in a while, after long periods of sterility, he made his appearance. He'd always been fat, but now a great famine of the flesh had set in, decimating his corpulence as an invading army, bent on rapine, destroys crops, burns villages, kills everything in sight. Indeed, all that was dead in him had achieved a reverse life. The size, the enormity of his wise flesh, made sagacious by an afflatus of pain purified, led to my father's demise at age 39, for I'd never seen one so hopelessly capsized, and the beach seemed to ream his eyes every time they alighted on it. This spit of land stretching to the east as far as the great cliff dwellings of the indigenous peoples, to the north with its jagged mountains like so many broken pillars piled up. That is to say, my father was trapped, geographically trapped, for everywhere he looked he saw the living visage of the land, stark, nude, so bright as to benight the eyes with the stupidity of too languorous of light, the style of light in esoteric surmise, of demonic demonstration, of the fundamental radiation bathing things, for I have never seen anything that didn't send beams out of itself, including steam rising in darkness, the infarction of my eyes going off with a gigantic dying, a robust, a strong, athletic demise. The darkness in our house came alive. It awoke into sentience, into the hell of individuality, the nanosecond my mother died, and that was how in advance I knew she was dead, even though I was none the wise. And if you would have asked me, is she dead, I would have said, surely she's alive. Stirred into a bizarre organicism, swelled with a black corpulence like a reverse putrescence fructified. The darkness in like a reverse putrescence fructified, the darkness in the house woke up to the dawn of a new blackness, chasing the light away, ravenous on its tail, bailing out great golden buckets of it, tossing it into the sea of nothingness, where in great ingots it sinks into perditions, caverns, hells. The several beveled heads of its frightened face, lights, crying the freak eons away, prodigal sensation blazing far beyond the ray of the most far-flung pain, light lapping it in speed, in freak agility. At the height of this dawn, the sun of that runner light went down. In our house, the outer darkness tucked inward, folded on the inside, and the house took on demons as one takes on boarders when one is poor and one has to rent the rooms of one's house lest one starve to death. And the only people simple enough, rough enough, uncouth enough, earthy enough to live in such a dwelling are the kind of folks it's best to steer clear of in this life of psychological crime and the horror of agony systemized, stylized, the robust creativity and tortures, the anal cavity of this depravity bordering on a universal imperative, not of sublimity, not of functionality, but rather steeped in demonry as it does, nothing but wax colossally, slavishly in wicked venery, the esprit and evil being what it is, the fizz having gone out of cruelty. That is what I mean when I say that the darkness in the house took on a form of consciousness hitherto unknown to a universe innocent of such things, as if it were too pure, too sacrosanct a creature, a universe used to seeing, hearing, fearing this thing trying to cure it, this darkness barking things at me. which is to say that the darkness transmogrified frightfully behind my eyes into a being keen on leaning against my brain. And it was this pressure of a darkness loafing against the side of me at this precise juncture, as if in consciousness dawning it could spawn this thing called the tincture of the real, darkness being known to me, by me, to be a thing endlessly peeling itself. The darkness in the house in particular, that is. For the sights around the house, this piece of furniture, this gate, this face, etc., are not a fraction so known to me, but in characteristic and essence, as the darkness in that house. For no couch ever talked to me, but this darkness surely did. And it is true that my mother, tender as she was, never coddled me quite like this living darkness, munificent in the freezing heat, the frigid warmth of its cyclonic womb, in incessant flurry and violent uprise in the corners of a house turned inside out like a bum's pockets, being the very cancerous stomach, birthing a sense beyond knowing, and yet just this side of a sidereal confusion, forming contusions all over the lower part of me. That is another way of saying that the darkness in the house came to life. And I should add that in life there were antics, a truth to ruminate on with great studiousness. For where there is death, there is tragedy, and where there is life, there is the drama of struggle. But in the void, there is only the rheumatoid flesh, brazen in the very craven core of me. And everywhere I look, I see a landscape, this stone outcropping, that aqueduct held up on broken wooden legs, being things scotched from the face of the real, and now existing in exquisite impalpability are the phantasms, things only seen but not to be believed in, this dream I was conceived in, such were the lyrics in hushed tones that the darkness was kind enough to sing to me. I'll stop there. I'll make another one.